if you've ever been the sort of guy who's thought, astrology's stupid, or that's not real, or blah, 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 let me tell you right off the bat, that is a terrible mindset to have, because if you survey most women, they're going to say they're at least aware of astrology. A lot of them are going to be into it. And it's a great, fun, conversational topic. It's a great way to connect with people. And whether or not you think it's, real or not, it's such an amazing tool to connect with people and to be better in, on dates and in your relationships. And when I started really leaning into astrology, I had more fun with it. I found my conversation skills improved, and it was just such an amazing sort of skill set to have. So today I brought on Neda Farr. Neda, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. So excited.
Yeah. And Neda's an astrology expert. She's a prominent astrologer. She's a content creator, the founder of Starcrossed, which is an astrology-based dating app with over 250,000 downloads. So congrats for that. That's amazing. And she's known as the first to coin Soulmate Astrology. And she's guided more than 5,000 clients in love and relationships, helping them understand their patterns and navigate towards lasting connection. And I know your content resonates a lot with millennials, which is mostly my audience, some Gen Zers as well. I even have some boomer clients, and some Gen Xers. But funny enough, the guys who's the most versed in astrology is 60. So he's like kind of right on that cusp. But your work's been featured in Vice, New York Times, MSN, Your Tango, Sun, and other leading outlets. And you're really one of the most pioneering voices in the space. You're big on social media. So I'm stoked to, you're going to read my chart, and we're going to have a lot of fun in this in this episode. So hopefully if you guys are listening, you'll walk away with some very tools and a way to improve your connection.
You're listening to the Inner Confidence Podcast. My name is Robbie Kramer. I've been a coach since 2007, and I've helped countless men rapidly achieve all of their social and dating goals. My mission is simple: to help you position yourself to meet stunning women, make awesome friends, en route to becoming the most confident and attractive version you can possibly be. I'm absolutely obsessed with giving you the most leveraged ways possible to win the game, so stick around, let's go.
Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got into it?
Yeah, definitely. So I, have always kind of been one of those girls that's been aware of astrology, like you mentioned, but it wasn't until Tumblr really exploded back in 2014 that I started hearing about astrology all the time, because I feel like Tumblr was a place for the girls to just go and have their own community online. So I actually started off in social media, Tumblr famous. I grew my Tumblr blog to a very high amount of followers at the time. And I kind of self-taught astrology because my Tumblr wasn't in that space. So I knew that when Tumblr, became less of a platform, I wanted to jump on the next social media and talk more about astrology rather than having a normal blog like everyone else. I wanted to make it a very niche educational platform. So that's what I did on TikTok. And I currently have 230,000 followers in the past year and a half, just talking about astrology and kind of educating on
Amazing. It. Wow. So you went from 0 to 230 in under a year?
Yeah. A year and a half.
That's amazing. I've got a golf content page on Instagram that my wife and I do together. We've grown from nothing to 30,000 followers in a year. So you can respect the hustle.
Awesome.
It's a lot of work. So
yeah, definitely.
You're 5x us, so that's fantastic. There's obviously
it's more fun doing it with your wife.
It
though,
is. And it's hard to sort of compare the markets, in terms of growth and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's so cool that basically your work's been very impactful, and you're seeing the results of that quite literally. So.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's specifically for women, so haven't really reached that male demographic on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
So definitely found a lot of men don't know about the space as much as women do.
Were you at all skeptical of it before you got into it, or that's fantastic?
Definitely. I am a very, science and facts based person. So when I was seeing so much of astrology online, I was like, there has to be some sort of backing for this. It's not some cult following. There's obviously some data behind it. So when I started studying it, I really noticed that astrology is more of a science of patterns. It's very much based off history, and it's mainly based off of like historical events. So every single historical event of the same type has happened under the same zodiac sign. And that's why astrology became documented, because it really shows the patterns of the future based off the patterns of the past.
I feel like there's just been too many coincidences for it to really be a coincidence. Because my wife's into astrology as well, and like, she's seen some really amazing, people in the space who've like, just predicted things and knew things about her that were like, that's insane. That
It's wild. Yeah. It's really wild.
so. How often do you come across? I know you mainly work with women, or your content is mainly geared towards women, but do you ever hear from them about the sort of like how most men relate to astrology and whether or not they embrace it or adopt it and what their preferences are?
I think honestly, I have a lot of clients that are just straight males, and they're the ones that know more than anything, like that it's science based. All of my clients that are male are like very, very, very knowledgeable. Like they nerd out to astrology. While I feel like women are more, the surface level astrology, but when men get into it, they get like very, very deep on it, and they know about like the houses and aspects and more of the data approach to astrology. So I really love talking to men about it because they're way more nerdy about it than I am.
That's interesting. Yeah. So the guys are kind of geeking out hardcore. If they get into it, they get real into it.
Yeah. And it's really fun to see because they teach me things that I didn't even know, because I focus on soulmate astrology and like how you can use astrology to help your love life and dating and things. So when men are into it, they're like, what the last time we had one of the biggest wars of all time is the same time we're about to have. And like, they know more of the historical patterns, which is really
That's
fun.
interesting. I mean, I feel like what kind of got me more of a believer in it and interested in it is, I don't know, at a certain point in my like late 30s, and I'm 43, I kind of took an inventory of all the women I had dated, like any relationship that was significant, not just like a fling, and I plotted their birthdays and which relationships were good, which ones were bad, which ones were dramatic and whatnot. And I saw like such a crazy pattern because I'm a Gemini, and I think that's what a water or air sign, right? And it's like I pretty much had only relationships with like other Geminis. What's the February?
Pisces?
No, the one just before that, Aquarius.
Aquarius, yeah.
Lots of really good relationships with Aquarius, Gemini, and then some horrible relationships with Sagittarius, like November, right? And then like basically, and then so it was like very, and all I felt like the personality styles of all of the women were extremely similar when they were born within that zodiac sign. So I was like, the only way I see myself having a successful relationship is with another Gemini or an Aquarius. Turns out my wife's an Aquarius, like, so I get along really well with my sister. One's a Gemini, one's an Aquarius. And then like, sometimes me and my mom clash a lot. She's a Cancer. All my relationships I've had with other Cancers is like, and obviously my mom and I love her to death and we have a great relationship, but we argue and it's like, we kind of like give it to each other, and that, my relationships with other Cancers has been like that.
Yeah, it's like, where is this coming from?
And so I was like, there's just too many. I had a lot of data points because I had done a ton of dating, and I was like, there's just no way that that's not a thing. So that's, obviously that's my opinion, but I found it to be very useful and helpful. And when I met my wife, and I'm like, oh, you're an Aquarius, okay, and like I was like, you're and it was just such a fun conversation, and without having that sort of like tool in my toolkit to relate to people about this stuff, it's like, why wouldn't you learn about it if you're a guy? Like if you're trying to improve your success with dating and relationships, you just have to be such a fuddy-duddy idiot to be like, no, it's stupid, or it's there's no scientific backing behind it. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, do you want to actually have a good time, or do you want to be like right about it? So
No, exactly. And it's really cool that you came to that realization on your own, because a lot of my clients, they come to me and they don't even realize they're in the same cycles over and over. And a lot of it is because of astrology, like they keep dating the same like zodiac sign, and they keep running into the same problem. And I'm like, you need to break out of that cycle, try something new, go out with someone that was born in September instead.
Right.
Like, and it really does make a big difference. You meet people that have a totally different communication style, love language. Like a lot of it is tied into zodiac signs, and you get stuck in the same patterns because that's what you're attracted to the most when you're kind of like unhealed. And when you start to mature and realize that you need something more is when you break out of that cycle and like actually find the perfect person for you.
Yeah. I think there's, like you said, there's just so much amazing stuff to learn from that. So
Mm-hmm.
so I'm excited you're going to do a reading for me.
Yeah, I definitely do. You want me to look into like your relationship style, kind of the perfect person for you? Like, what do you want to learn from your chart?
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
Okay, great. So basically, you are a Gemini sun, and that is kind of the least important thing about you. That's like what you should gather from astrology is like it's so much more than your sun sign, which is another big reason that men don't really get it, because they're like, oh, it's so generic, But the truth of the matter is there's 12 zodiac signs in your chart. So you being a Gemini is kind of like the least important one. It's like the all-encompassing identity. But if you want to look into specific aspects of your personality, that's diving in deeper into your chart. So you are a Capricorn moon, which the moon sign is your emotions in your inner world. And that being Capricorn is very much tied into like, for me to feel stable and secure in my emotions, like everything has to be going well with my business. I want to be working hard. Like I need to be financially stable. And that's very much tied to your emotions. Is like, I need stability in my life. You're also a Mercury Gemini. So Mercury is the planet of communication. So your communication style is very similar to like Gemini qualities. You love to like go in different directions in conversation. Like you need a lot of variety in your conversation. And that's kind of your communication style.
Some people find that annoying.
But it's a good thing, like once you realize that about yourself, you're like, yeah, I'm going to try to have as many endearing conversations as possible. And it makes you like more aware of it.
Well, my favorite trump card to play on people, which I also think kind of annoys them, but in a fun way, is, if I do something that maybe they don't like, or, like I'm maybe if I'm moody or if I change my mind on something, I'm like, what do you want from me? I'm a Gemini. Like you're dealing with two different people. So not my fault.
It's a valid excuse. Yeah. No, I definitely think like, you can take the topic wherever and it'll still be like really fun and engaging for you. Like you want to have a lot of variety in your discussions, it's fun. And that's perfect for your wife. You need another air sign. If you have a fire sign, they're just going to get sick of it. Like the Sagittarius women, they're like, I can't listen to this anymore. But it's interesting because you are a Leo rising, and the rising sign is the most important thing in your chart because it's what people think of you when they first meet you. It's like the first impression you give people. And yours is a fire sign. You're a Leo rising. So when people first meet you, they think you're super outgoing, like very confident, just like always self-assured in that way. And the rising sign is also what gives you the most happiness in life. So you being a Leo rising means like you love being the center of attention, like you love having the spotlight on you, and that gives you a lot of joy in life. But when it comes to love and relationships, the two most important things are Venus and Mars. So Venus is the planet of love, obviously, and Mars is the planet of sex, pleasure, and like aggression style. So your Venus is in Taurus, and that means like your love language is a lot of sensory things. Like you love going on really nice dinners. You love just like staying at home and watching really great TV and music and stuff together. It's more of like the luxurious love language. So it's very much based on your senses. And your Mars sign is Libra, which means you're not very like confrontational.
Not at all.
You really need a lot of
Yeah.
balance, like when it comes to, your aggression style. Like you don't like that aggression. You need it to be more balanced for you to feel.
I mean, that's so spot on. It's like, there's been obviously, like, if you're listening to this, there's some things you'd be like, okay, well, that could have applied to everybody, but like people are either confrontational or they're not. And I am so not. I was actually like,
Yeah.
I was with like my best friend and my wife last night, and they're kind of meeting for the first time here in Portugal, and they were really bonding with each other because they're very similar. And they're
Mhm.
like making fun of me how like they're like, Robbie's the least confrontational person. If he like accuses somebody of something, he'll be like, "You're an asshole." But hey, I can see why you did it, and I'm not like
Right,
immediately
right,
giving
yeah.
you like an off ramp to be like, avoid the tension and the confrontation. So
Yeah, you gotta see both
Mhm.
sides. Like, that's how you think when it comes to those
Right.
things, yeah.
I think that's a fault a little bit, like something I'm working on. Like I'm working on being more, I guess, assertive in when it comes to confrontation and not giving people like an offer. Like if
Mhm.
someone deserves it, it's like no, like let them answer instead of just making it easy for them. But yeah,
Yeah.
another thing I can just blame on my zodiac. I like it. So
Yeah, exactly. No, it's really cool, like, once you see these things in your zodiac chart and you're like, "That's why," and, like, you're more aware of it so that if you do want to, like, work on those things, then you very much know that it's tied to a certain thing, and that's kind of the root, especially in your childhood of, like, "That's why I was, like, acting that way," you
right.
know? But yeah, I is there, like, any questions specifically you want me to look at? Because that's the major points in your chart, and I think it's really cool seeing, like, your rising sign and finding, like, what brings you the most joy in life, but, that is the majority of, like,
Gotcha.
your love languages and communication style and everything.
I mean, you nailed it like completely. So, um, and I'm not just blowing smoke here for anyone listening. Like that's if anyone listens to this podcast a lot, like they probably kind of get that vibe from me in that sense.
Real quick, if you're a divorced guy trying to figure out modern dating, I put together something special for you. It's called the Social Funnel Method, and it's a 5-day free email course I made just for guys like you. Guys who want to date high quality women and build a lifestyle that actually feels good again. You'll learn exactly what works today, not 10 years ago, and how to stand out in a world of dating apps, ghosting, and Instagram. Head over to innerconfidence.com/start to get step 1 sent straight to your inbox. It's totally free. Go do it now, and let's rebuild your dating life in the right way.
People who are listening probably don't really care so much about like my stuff,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I think you and I talked before we jumped on about sort of the data math side of this, and
Mhm.
I think that would be interesting to most of the guys listening because I do feel like there's guys are either like I'm sold and I'm gonna lean into it, and there's other guys who are like no, I'm not gonna do it, which hopefully their mind is changing, but yeah, can you go through that?
Yeah, so basically everything in astrology is tied to degrees. So each zodiac sign that you have in your birth chart has a degree linked to that. And the degree just kind of means how near it was the certain planet in the sky of when you were born, the event that's currently happening. And that's the strength that you're going to feel something. Like, you know how everyone talks about Mercury retrograde?
Right.
A lot of people feel it more than others because of the degrees in their chart being nearer to Mercury retrograde than other people. So the math behind it is very much tied to like geometry. And there are like squares between planets, trines, different sextiles, like, and that's all based off the degrees and the actual math behind it. So a lot of horoscopes people do on TikTok and stuff, like a lot of people are like, "Oh, that doesn't resonate with me." And that's because they don't have degrees near the one happening in the sky.
Hmm.
So it's definitely like a very complex science that you need the ephemeris tool, which is connected to NASA data. And that's the only way that you can actually practice astrology is if you are using like real time NASA data to know the exact degrees of planets in the sky.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot of, math and science related with it.
Yeah, it's very much like hard to read these things unless you are data and math oriented.
Gotcha. So from your side, what's your sign, by the way? And what are the things, I guess, if you can kind of give like your own read, a little bit similar to mine, I think the guys would be curious about.
Yeah. I'm a Leo sun, so I was born in July, and I'm a Sagittarius rising. So there's a little clash there. But I'm an Aquarius moon, so like my emotions are more airy, not very emotional. Like I'm more level-headed and clear, so that's also why I'm super drawn to like the math side of things. But yeah, the two big fire signs are my main chart.
Gotcha. Oh, by the way, are you in a relationship now?
Yeah, so I actually co-founded the astrology app with my boyfriend, who coded the entire thing for me. Like,
Nice.
I had the vision to do this business, and he was the one that wanted to do all of the tech behind it.
Amazing. And before you guys met, were you as versed in astrology?
Definitely like not like I am now, and he got more into it than I did because of like the math side of things. Since we are building this app together, we're doing a new version later this year. Like, he's coding all of the math on the back end. So he had to learn all of the nitty-gritty and like knows more than I do at this point about like the actual science and stuff behind it. But when I met him, like, I really wanted to make a business out of astrology, and he was the one to really support that and kind of egg me on. So we started this business together 4 months into dating, and we've just hit our 2-year mark.
Amazing.
So we've built a really awesome startup together.
Yeah, that's really cool. So tell me more about the app. Like, who's it for? Why'd you want to create it?
Yeah, definitely. So I had a lot of just personal one-on-one readings before I wanted to make the app, and I found like a lot of women are super lost in dating, in the sense of like they don't know what they're doing wrong, they don't know why their relationships keep going badly over and over. And I kind of pointed them in the direction of like, you just have to leave him, you just have to end this relationship, try something new, and this is the reasons why based off your birth chart. And it's helped a lot of people leave really terrible situations and actually find the love of their life. So I wanted to put that on a bigger scale and like help as many women in love as possible. So I always knew I wanted to make an astrology app, but it wasn't until I met him that I knew it could be possible and like have someone to support me in that. So we launched 8 months ago, officially on the App Store, and we've had over like 250,000 downloads now. And it's all based off when you'll meet your soulmate, where your soulmate is from, how you'll meet them, and their entire zodiac chart. So you know exactly who to look for. And we even do drawings of your soulmate, because you can see all of that with astrology and see like the exact perfect person for you based off your birth chart. So I made like a very complex math algorithm to find the perfect person for you.
That's so cool. And what's the ratio of women to men on there?
I would say like 85% women, 15% men.
Yeah, I see maybe in the future, I'm sure you've thought of this, but like, if you had enough users or enough, male users, it could maybe even be like a dating app where you can meet.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think like we definitely, like, he really wants to make it a dating app because it's a much bigger market, but you just have to get the women on there. That's like the pillar of any dating app, is once you get the women on there,
the guys come.
The guys will come. Yeah. So
they'll go anywhere the women are. So if you have 85% women, that's already, a pretty fantastic place to be, because most dating apps are like 8-1 men to women. And that's why they suck.
Yeah.
Right?
I think honestly, like, it would be super fun to make it into a dating app one day. Like, I just need to hit like at least 1 million users, and then we can start matchmaking up people on the app. That would be super fun.
That's cool. Do you have any data on the amount of single women versus women who join that are in a relationship, who are kind of trying to find out if they're with the right guy?
It's definitely majority single because we give all that data of like when you'll meet and how you'll meet the perfect person for you. So we do definitely have some relationship girlies, but that's more like 30% of our users. So the majority are single for
Gotcha.
sure.
What advice would you have for guys who, might be listening to this and they're like, okay, I see the value in learning a bit about this as a way to connect, to understand myself. Like, how should they go about educating themselves?
I honestly I'm not the biggest advocate for like mentioning it on a first date because I feel like,
It's a little cliche.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I think the best thing for guys to do would be to look at their own birth chart and kind of like understand their communication style and dating style and not like communicate that to girls early stages of dating, but just to know that so that you can date with more intention. Because once you realize like how you come off in dates, then you can make the date go a lot smoother and know if it's a connection or if it's just like a one-time thing. So I would love for more guys to just know more about themselves before going out on dates. And you can pull up your birth chart super easy. Like you can download my app and it has all the information about yourself like in dating, just as an easy way to really see your birth chart. But look towards your Mercury. Like I said, you're a Gemini Mercury, so you like to talk a lot about different topics. Venus sign, that's your love language and how you want to date people, like if you want to show affection or if that takes longer for you. All of that knowledge is on the Starcrossed app. And then your Mars sign, which is like the sex life that I was mentioning earlier. I go deep into like your sex style on the Starcrossed app. So it's really fun to see the girl you're dating to, what her style
Yeah, I'd
is.
have to check out what my wife's like on.
Yeah.
We'll jump on there later and have fun dissecting it. It's always fun to like learn about yourself, right? Even, it's like
Mhm.
getting your fortune told or going to a psychic or that sort of thing. It's always fun and insightful and yeah.
It's really fun. And I wanted to make it even more fun, like when dating. So you can just tap phones with whoever you're on a date with or any of your friends in real life. You just tap your phone and it shares your zodiac charts.
No way. That's cool.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's really fun
sharing.
and it tells you like how compatible you are, like right when you tap, but not in a big way. Like if you're on a date, it says like you have 7 of my soulmates zodiac chart placements. So it's just a number instead of like actual compatibility percentages because I don't really believe in
Yeah.
that.
And that's interesting. So, and you mentioned you probably wouldn't want to mention it on the first date, and I wanted to unpack that
Mhm.
a little bit because I feel like my pet peeve when it comes to dating, what I tell my clients is like, if you can make it not like a date and you can remove the formality and the whole like we're on a date thing, it's going to be so much more fun, way less pressure. You just want to kind of feel like you're hanging out and having a good time. And, if
Mhm.
things lead to like a physical connection or whatever, that's awesome. But there's no like pressure on that. There's no like this formal we're on a date thing, I feel like is what makes dating, shitty and hard.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so if you're bringing up like, what's your sign? And like, let's test our compatibility, right? You're putting all this sort of pressure
Right.
and the girl's going to likely feel
Mhm.
like, oh, he's too into me. Like we just met, like,
Yeah.
why is he like thinking about this stuff? Like, we haven't even slept together. Like, and now he's thinking like,
Mhm.
is this my soulmate? It just makes you look like really needy as a guy, I feel like.
Yeah.
Obviously if
Yeah.
she brings it up, you kind of get a little bit of a pass there. And that's probably a
Mhm.
sign that she's into you and whatnot. But it's when to introduce this stuff and like how to sort of pivot that conversation. Like it could be like a really fun thing if you were like, oh yeah, by the way, or like, are you into astrology at all? I was listening to a podcast and I heard about this thing and I downloaded this app and like gives you all this stuff, right? Like it really depends on how you frame it. But I feel like that's where guys get probably hung up is they get too serious about it when I feel like it should be something fun and light and playful to connect over. And then when you know that you have an audience where she's like, oh yeah, this like, you know, this is something I really find valuable. I believe in it. And then, you know, later on, you kind of go deeper on it.
Yeah, I think like personally, I don't know. For men, I wouldn't bring it up until like you're getting to the stage of like maybe we'll commit to each
Right.
other. I definitely didn't bring up any astrology until like 3 weeks into dating,
Yeah.
you know, just because you don't want to like go too far, but you want to do it right before you guys become boyfriend, girlfriend. So the closer to when you guys are going to commit to each other, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you kind of learn about their birthday and stuff earlier. So that's all you really need to know,
Right.
you know, like 1 week, 2 weeks into dating, like, oh, is your birthday coming up? You know, that's an easy segue into it. And you don't need to know more than that until right when you guys start becoming boyfriend, girlfriend. And then you can like start talking about astrology and all the fun stuff about
Yeah,
it.
I feel like that's kind of when my wife and I started really talking about it too. And we both figured out, she's like, oh yeah, I've always had good relationships with other air signs, like other Geminis or Aquarius and whatnot. And it was, you know, kind of right around that time where we did commit to each other. And because yeah, if you do it too soon, then it's just like I mentioned. So I love that framework that you just gave us there.
Yeah, but you did it in a good way, you know? You're like, oh, I love air signs. Like very keeping it surface level instead of getting into the nitty gritty.
Right.
Like you did it in a good way, not showing your hand
Totally.
too much.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is, it's like I've had some of my closest relationships with Capricorns, but those are also my like most butting heads thing, right? And I didn't realize, I forgot what maybe my moon or something that you mentioned was a Capricorn. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now.
No, it definitely does. Your moon sign, like you don't get along with people that are your moon sign because it just triggers your mind.
Right.
Like, yeah.
All sorts of triggering happening. So, yeah.
Literally, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Is there anything else that I feel like we didn't touch on that might be valuable for, you know, guys to understand about this stuff? Or
I definitely think what I mentioned is like look at your Mercury, Venus, Mars. All of that info is on the Starcrossed app if you want to see how to like date with intention and like present yourself in your best light. All of that info is on the Starcrossed app, and just that's how you should be using astrology to get more girls. Like I really do believe instead of mentioning it outright, just know yourself and what your worth is, what you bring to the table, and you're just going to be a lot more confident walking into any date.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I think men should take away from astrology.
And what do you think about just knowing enough about all of the signs so you can kind of use it as like, it's like, oh, you're a Capricorn. Oh, okay, so you blah, 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 blah. And, you know, this, I feel like this is even more powerful if you meet a girl at a party, or like it's not even really in a dating scenario and you're just like chit-chatting, and that's kind of the thing that builds the attraction a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think like you can always cheek off of like just saying a sign is bad. You don't really need to know what they are because it's definitely hard to remember all 12 zodiac signs. But just kind of use it as a tool instead of like, oh, I have to deal with this. Like very much know yourself from your birth chart because it's really fun to see more stuff about yourself. And then it just adds so much more value when you do go out and meet new people in the world because you know exactly what kind of conversations you want to have and what conversations you don't want to have, especially at parties and stuff. So you should definitely just tongue in cheek, like joke about astrology and then actually use it in the back of your head as a tool.
I think one time I met a Sagittarius and, you know, I was like, oh, by the way, when's your birthday? And she's like, November. I'm like, oh God. And she's like, what? I'm like, oh, like every time.
Don't worry about it.
I was like, every time I've had, you know, like any sort of dealings with Sagittarius, it's like this extremely like love-hate, turbulent, you know, sort of thing. So like, I'm going to run away now. And then, you know, she's like, what do you mean? Blah, blah. You know, so it's kind of like that push pull. And, you know, sometimes.
It's because air adds to the fire. It makes the fire bigger. Yeah.
So yeah, it was, you know, pretty good like pickup technique to be like, nah, it's not going to work. And she's
yeah.
So. Well, Neda, this has been so fun. And I'm going to link in the description and everything about, you know, where guys can, or whoever listening to this, maybe there's some, women in the audience too, how they can, download the app and get that info. Is there anything else that, where you want to like drive people to, or anything else that information people should know about you or what you're offering?
Yeah, I mean, I post on TikTok all of the horoscopes and everything, but I really hope from this we get more nerds in astrology. That's what I hope.
So yeah, follow Neda. I'll have all the links in the description. If you're listening to this, it's the Starcrossed app. How do they search for it?
It's Starcrossed, all one word, on both the App Store and the Play Store.
Got it. Amazing. Well, congrats on all the success so far, and thanks so much for coming on and reading my chart and sharing all your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time. Thank you.
Out of all the guys I know, the only ones who managed to consistently win the game are those who built and invested in a high-status social circle. You can certainly approach women and try your luck on the apps if you're a Chad, but those strategies simply don't work consistently to attract top-tier women and awesome friends into your life. But for most guys, the idea of building a social circle can feel overwhelming, so they continue to hunt for women in their usual ways and end up settling for a girl they were never really that excited about in the first place. To avoid this fate, join our community and instantly plug into a highly vetted social circle of cool dudes to network and navigate your journey with. You already know it's hard to find wingmen because the good ones don't stay in the game very long. Many of our members travel together, end up living together, build amazing circles, and even businesses together, both in the West and in many of the best locations around the globe with gorgeous women and low cost of living. I'm extremely careful who I let into this community, but if you feel like you'd make a good fit, you can apply to join. The link's in the description.